Hello, Stephen White, Steve Arts 89. We have some good news. Finally, after all these years, CBS and Viacom, who owns Paramount, have remerged. Now, once upon a time, they merged in 1996 for $35 billion, and they split in 2006. And now they have merged again for $30 billion. So basically, Star Trek licensing issues that existed should be able to be fixed. Now, they still have ties with Bad Robot and Secret Hideout, which is basically the Section 31 of Bad Robot. They're still going to have those issues, and they're still stuck with Kurtzman for a few more years. They can't get out of those contracts unless they want to pay their way out of them. But there won't be the conflict of licensing anymore. There won't be the issue of, we can't use something that's identifiable Star Trek in Star Trek. We can't use Star Trek in Star Trek because CBS will get the money and we want the money. Now it's all theirs, so it's okay. They're not conflicting companies trying to use the same brand and trying to create versions of the brand that don't conflict with each other, so they can both get their shares of the money. It was ridiculous. I don't know if I should go into it all, but basically they separated, and Paramount wanted to produce more films. In order to do that, they had to get a license. They used Bad Robot, negotiated one, and that had to be a certain percentage different from the original Star Trek and the TV series, so when they're selling their merchandise and selling their movies, people aren't confusing them for the same characters or the same show. So they creatively came up with the idea of the alternative universe. That worked. Unfortunately, with Discovery, CBS didn't want to do any Star Trek, but then when they realized they had to create a streaming service, and they thought, who's going to pay for a show? How do we get people in? Of course, Star Trek. So they said, we need a Star Trek show. Oops, we just gave our rights to Paramount basically for 10 years, and we have no compete clause. We can't make a TV series while they're making movies. And they had extended, I think, their original 10-year contract to cover beyond, because they didn't even manage to get 3 movies done in 10 years, because the idea was they were going to make 3 films, 10 years, and CBS wouldn't make any TV shows in the meantime. Even though, and so the 50th anniversary, the show should have been out for that, but they couldn't because of licensing, blah, blah, blah. So they ended up having this rumored, the amount was 25% different Star Trek for the movies, which they managed to explain creatively through the alternate universe. Discovery, they had to then negotiate, and they basically turned around and did the same thing back to CBS that they did to them. Said, well, you can make it, but it has to be different from our Star Trek. You can't use our Star Trek. You can't basically use our reimagined, now identifiable with the general public Star Trek. You have to go back, and you can't use your own, so you have to create like a different Star Trek. So they basically created like a 2 times removed third Star Trek universe, which was Discovery, which just isn't Star Trek on any level, on theme, on aesthetics, characterization, just the universe. It's all different. None of it really works. Long-term fans, serious ones, hate it. General fans are kind of just going with it because I think they're just weak-minded, in my personal opinion. Not to be confused with fact. And the new fans come in and they're like, yeah, this is great. That other Star Trek, that's crap. Why do people watch that? This is great. This is what Star Trek is. You're all idiots. So then we have this conflict in the fan base where they're all fighting. It's sort of like the general science fiction fans and Star Wars fans kind of came into Star Trek with this new Star Trek that was made for them, and they're fighting with the old Star Trek fans saying, what you like is crap. This is good. This is what Star Trek really is. And the people who've been, I don't know, watching this over 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years are saying, no, this is Star Trek. Your show is crap. So the fan base is just toxic and kind of irreparable. It was like once upon a time, Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans hated each other, and they fought because they had 2 different franchises, but they were separate. Now we've got the same division within Star Trek, and it's probably not going to go away unless they totally abandon the Disco universe, which they could have done once they sent it to 1,000 years into the future. They could have made any new Star Trek shows, and they can, I guess, make any new Star Trek shows like Picard. And if they do a Pike show and all that, which God willing they'll do now, they can make them very different, and they can make Discovery just this one-off odd sort of universe, which can kind of be explained with all the Michael Burner and Red Angel traveling backwards and forwards and time travel and displacement, all that. It can kind of be explained away in head canon. I can kind of dismiss it and just leave it out in the future, and they can do that with it. If they drag it back to the 22nd century and try and make it work again, it's going to be a nightmare unless they drastically change it because of licensing. So I guess I'm just too optimistic. I'm giving them too many chances, but it's happening. Apparently it's already happened. Apparently they've already merged today. It was announced that it's happened. Now obviously there's a lot of contract negotiations and things that have to be done, so it's not actually done. It'll be finalized soon, but the decision, basically, it's done. They're merged. So a few years ago, a year or so, nearly 3 years ago, I was really upset with what was happening with Star Trek, with Discovery. I really felt that they had destroyed it. They were violating the show. They were disrespecting the fans. They'd taken something away from people that really meant something, bordering on religion, basically, a belief system, belief in the future and how it's going to be. And by changing that vision, it took something away from us and was really offensive, and a lot of people got really upset and angry, and they were treated like they were freaks and just gatekeepers and haters, and there's a really ugly situation in the fandom. But now it should be reunited, so this is good. But I just, like I said a couple of years ago, it was so bad, and it seems so irreparable. We had the rights were split between two companies which are basically competing on some level, and the guy in charge of CBS that owned the rights to Star Trek hated Star Trek, didn't understand what science fiction was, or certainly didn't know what good science fiction was, couldn't tell Star Trek from Star Wars, and thought it should be Star Wars because Star Wars was more successful. So he basically said, make it like Star Trek. Make Star Trek like Star Wars. Go do that. And hired a bunch of people who hated Star Trek or didn't know Star Trek to then go and do that, and either willingly or unknowingly just violate the show, violate the canon and the fans. And so we had CBS Viacom split. We had Leslie Moonves in charge and hating Star Trek, and then we had his little henchman, Alex Kurtzman, who I guess unknowingly was just destroying the show, literally by being the showrunner and actually doing it. And I thought, there's no way we're going to get out of this situation. But first things first, Les Moonves, who's basically allegedly a rapist and allegedly sexually assaulted, molested, harassed women over Hollywood for just decades. He got fired. Now, when he got fired, he tried to stop the merger because he was desperately trying to stop the merger, and then on his way out, he was just being petty trying to stop the merger because he's not the head of CBS anymore, so why does he care if it mergers? He just wanted to stop Sherry Reston from doing it. But they found a way around it, and there was some talk of that, so he was gone. I celebrated that. Then there was talk of the merger, but then I found out contractually they had to wait a couple of years. Then I found out obviously they're smart people, they like money. They found a way around it, and I heard they were going to, and they obviously did because it's happened. So that's the second step. And now the only thing left, I had heard Kurtzman was fired, and I got excited. Then I found out he wasn't fired, but he's no longer showrunner of any one Star Trek show. So although he's still in charge of the franchise and could still hurt its direction, he's not actually in charge of any individual show or the production of any individual show. So he won't be defiling anything specifically. And I feel I kind of suspect if he's not directly involved in the show, he's not going to feel the need to impose his vision on it because it's someone else's show. And he's using the whole, we want all the shows to be different, so they get different audiences within the whole fandom, which is his way of saying, okay, my Star Trek sucked, other people are going to do different Star Treks because, that's what people want. So I think he just wants money, he wants a title, he wants a piece of the franchise, and I think so long as he gets that, he's probably not going to be too involved with the creative side of it and allow other people to actually create good Star Trek. So we may get good Star Trek. 2 out of 3 of the barriers are gone. The rights split is gone, Moonves is gone, and Kurtzman is just a money whore who's just going to do whatever the people paying him say. So if they're saying we want real Star Trek, which you didn't give us real Star Trek, he's probably just going to give it to them because they'll pay him money, and the more successful it is, the more chance that he'll be of staying around. The only good thing about it, if it did do worse, And if they kept on this track and it failed, they might get rid of him and then just bring someone else in and totally change without any residual issues. But I'm very happy. I'm very happy. 2 out of 3 roadblocks are gone. The third one's probably manageable. There is a chance Star Trek will be back on TV, and it's something I can actually watch without wanting to throw my head through the fucking screen, which is how I felt for the first season of Enterprise. Discovery, and a few episodes of the second season drove me mad as well. But it was a lot better. They were trying. I could see they were trying. That made a bit of a difference, but they still failed. But yeah. Okay. I'm trying to focus on the positive, but we still have a lot of work to do. As fans, we have to let them know what we want and make sure they actually do it and listen to us. And I think they will, because they like money. And I myself have bought almost no merchandise for Discovery. I haven't bought the DVDs, Blu-rays, nothing. Once upon a time, I'd be buying it all. And a lot of other people are doing that as well. Some because they're deliberately boycotting it, like me. Other people just don't care and they just haven't been interested. Or they don't even know the show exists. I've talked to a few people who didn't. Oh, they did another Star Trek. Oh, I didn't. Oh, I'm done. There you go. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks for listening. Feel free to like, subscribe. Feel free to comment if you're happy about this. Tell me about it. But I love watching videos and seeing what people think about stuff and reading comments and stuff. So it'd be nice to have my own, but I'm too small apparently. Okay, thanks. Bye.